Welcome to Practical Talk Time. I'm Sandy Wrobel, your host, and we really are doing part 2 this week of the program, Is That All There Is? The Journey Within, with the author, Cindy Miller. So I'd like to welcome Cindy back.
Hi,
again.
Sandy. Nice to be here.
Same here. And part 2, I hope people have watched part 1. And we're going to be continuing on with this journey.
Yes.
We're still on the journey.
Yes.
And the last show I mentioned about, you talked about God and you made an abstract image that your brother painted.
Yes.
And it's whatever people want to see is the image of God they have in their mind. And I talked about a catalog where you see the outfits and the clothing, but there's no body, they're just there. And I thought, well, they just want you to imagine you're there. You might think, I don't like the way she looks and I don't want to look like that. So it becomes very impersonal. And I noticed in your book you have, Do I Dress My Part? And it is abstract and goes around with a lot of colors in it. And it said, the fashion that never goes out of style is knowing that I am so worthwhile. And again, your poetry is there.
Yeah.
And tell us a little bit about that chapter. Is it only about fashion, or is it more than just fashion?
No, that's a very good question, and thank you for bringing that chapter up. That chapter is really involved in, our beliefs, what we're taught, what we see, how things appear to us, and feeling good about ourselves, no matter what, we're the suit of called going within, and really feeling good. And sometimes we can assess and judge people by their appearance, and we don't get to know that person, and we just make this quick discernment or assessment. Not that you shouldn't trust it, but often we will stay standoffish, and we can miss out on meeting some really cool, wonderful people by just based on how they're garbed.
I know, and I think we're all guilty of that. I know I have done that as well. And then you might come in contact somehow or other again with that person, and other people are talking, you think, gee, they're really involved in some very interesting things. And I think much of it is based on our fear.
Yeah, fear. I think, sometimes we can look at an individual, and if they don't look the way that we think everybody should look in this box and how people should look, we kind of eliminate them or discount them or don't value them, and we say, I'm going to pass on talking to that person. I don't know if they're going to be, on the same wavelength as me. And we can be doing a really big disservice to ourselves by not having the chance and the opportunity to get to know that person and what they're about, and maybe share some really wonderful things to you. I think they say in the Bible, there's a scripture, that a person can be an angel in disguise. So
yes.
you never know sometimes who you're talking to.
And there's another one that's similar of if you meet a Buddha on the road,
yeah,
like
right.
a poor person, yes. I think every philosophy, every religion has something along those lines, that it's not, things aren't always as they appear, or saying all that glitters is not gold.
Yes.
Yes. That there's certain images we like to portray. And even when people are looking for jobs, it does become very important. And now not only your physical image, but be careful about what you're putting on Facebook.
Yeah.
That it might be done as a jest of something funny,
yeah,
but it's not viewed that way. They're going to look at that and they don't really know you and say, I won't hire you.
Yeah, and I think it's really important, though, to be our authentic self, though, to be, true to who we are. I mean, I even talk about in this book with the questions, like, can you go to the grocery store in your evening gown and pick up your eggs and milk or whatever it is, and feel good and not feel intimidated, like, I can't go to the grocery store by evening gown. Or maybe you haven't worn that evening gown, it's been in your closet for 20 years, and you go, I don't have an occasion to wear it, I'm going to wear it grocery shopping. Go for it. Go for what makes you feel happy.
Well, Cindy, have you gone grocery shopping in your evening gown?
Yes, I have.
Did you do it on purpose?
Yes, I did.
And what happened?
It was a lot of conversation, it was a lot of fun, it was a lot of laughs, and I got something out of my closet that I haven't worn in a very long time.
I haven't done it on purpose, but I remember being all dressed up and I hadn't bought my shoes, and I went into Lord & Taylor with my Birkenstock sandals on, and people were looking, but it was time. If I didn't go already dressed, I wouldn't have had time. I had to leave for the dinner.
Yeah.
But I did it, but I felt very awkward, and people do look.
Yeah, what I think what's really important is when people look and this and that is, let them look, is really of having the inner confidence within you to feel good about just being, just feeling of value, feeling, you are worthy, feeling you are good, and that you're going to contribute something to any space that you walk into.
Well, I can't honestly say that I felt good doing that, but I had no other option available.
Yeah.
And
Well,
but I do remember doing it.
But the one option we always have is our attitude and our frame of mind. And to me, it's very important. And there's a funny picture. There's image number two. I think it's the picture of the painting, the portrait. Yes, that one. And you had said earlier, it looks like they're not wearing anything, right?
Yes, I did.
And that's another question, like, are you comfortable not wearing anything? That's a very intimate question, at home with your partner and whatnot. Is really feeling good about our suits, our suits as we are. You have to feel good about your body. You have to love your body. You have to like who you are. It's really important to align your mind with your heart and feeling good, and you're scratching your head and you're trying to figure things out is really figuring things out deep within you, your soul truth, your consciousness, your thoughts.
Well, we do have the social mores and laws. I mean, what you do at home and what you would do in public, really there is a line that you have to be discriminating about.
Right, but the thing is, you can go to a party, and I address this in the book, and you could have the entirely wrong outfit on. It's like, oh man, I didn't get the dress code for this party. And some people can go to that party and go, oh, my night's ruined, take me home, how can I have a good time, this just stinks. Or you can go to that party and go, oh well, I didn't get the dress code, and I'm gonna still have a glorious night. It's really, a shift of attitude, a shift of how you feel, a shift of thought.
I think that in general our society is going in that direction, only judging by not only the wedding I went to this past weekend, but one back in April, and people are dressing in all kinds of different outfits. Personally, I like to be dressed up formally for a formal wedding.
The other thing I address in this book, too, to go to the other side of it, for dressing, if you're not showering, if you're not getting up, if you're, everything is disheveled, to take a look, there could be depression going on with you. There could be just a lot of sadness. There could be a panic of leaving your home. So a lot of these things are indicators to you of like, what's going on with me that I don't even want to brush my teeth and take a shower and get out of bed, and I'm wearing the same outfit 7 days straight. It's really to go within yourself and go, what's going on that I'm feeling so off?
That's a good point that you're bringing up, and I think all of us experience something similar to that from time to time, or many of us, maybe not all, but many. And you do hear people saying sometimes they don't know what came over them, even that they just don't want to go out. They just want to stay home.
Yeah, and it's good to stay home and to, quiet yourself and meditate. But also, is it isolating? And is it like a panic attack, a fear of not going out because you're afraid of what you're going to encounter, during part of your routine? It's really to just kind of get in there and go, what is it that I'm sensing? What am I afraid of? What am I feeling? Why is this happening?
I know we were talking just before this about how we judge people, and we really shouldn't judge them just by how they appear. But what about instinctively? Like, they'll say that people have been mugged, will say, I had a bad feeling. And it was mentioned on a radio program that if you have that feeling, you need to take action. You need to get away if you have that fear. Not to run away, but to look at them and show that you're not afraid, but to protect yourself.
Right. I think it's, it's your inner truth. It's that voice within you. And we need to trust our inner guidance. I mean, we are given guidance all the time, and very often we'll go, can that be right? Does that feel right? Does that ring true? Is that really God trying to warn me? Is that something? So it's, it's very, very important to become a friend and trust what you hear within yourself.
I know there's been times, several times, throughout my life, and one time I was with my mother, we visited my aunt in Cape Cod, and we were headed home, and for some reason I said I felt like going in a different way, taking a different route, which we did, and later there had been an accident. Had I continued, we would have been tied up in traffic or possibly have been in the accident.
Right.
And usually when I am traveling, I will listen to that voice that says, go a different way.
Right. Yeah.
And I don't know why, but later I look at it and say, gee, it's really a good thing I listened.
Yeah, so I think if the more we can trust our inner wisdom and what we're discerning for ourselves, it just makes it so much easier on your journey. It's a tool to help you.
Now, where do you think that inner voice comes from? I've experienced it. It's not our rational mind, because very often it could be that we're doing something that you'd say, that really seemed like a dumb idea, but it was good that I listened and I did it. But it's not rational.
Yeah.
So what do you attribute that to?
For me, when I'm clairaudient and I say it's from God. For me, I get my instructions, my information either from God, Jesus, an angelic realm, that's who I listen to.
Mm-hmm. Now, have you experienced that all through your life?
No, it came to me actually at more at the halfway point of my life in my 40s. I won't give my age now, but it was at a point where my life blew up and my dad had died, and I was just a mess. And when I was crying hysterically to God and being very angry, I had just this being appear to me, this force that just had me jump out of bed, and I'm like, what the heck, what? And so it was like, it really caught my attention. So when I saw that presence, to me it was like, oh, wait a minute, there's something going on here in life. There's more going on in life than what I'm seeing here in my life. So it really got me on a journey, a quest to know, what is life? Where do I go when I die? What's life about? What's the bigger picture? So that's how it got started for me.
What would you say about the age of people using your book? For example, when we're teenagers, I think we tried, like even girls, you try different fashions on, different makeup. It doesn't always look good. Sometimes it does, it doesn't. It's like a trial and error time.
Yeah.
Would you say teenagers would benefit, or someone older, or?
I think this book it's very broad range on who it could benefit, although I am also working on a book for younger people. A children's book is my next book.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, to unravel. I've got it written, and it's a project to come out, but I really wanted to start off here because I feel often that, self-esteem is so important about how you feel about yourself, especially for a young person growing up at any age, even an older person, a mid-age person. How we feel about ourselves and how we view ourselves is huge.
And we have so much going on now with bullying that has become a major issue. And life is different than what we experienced. There's now the social media.
Yeah.
So in your new book, will you address that as well?
Yeah, I'm going to address a little bit about everything, and I'll just also, as this book was given to me, and God has already given me a huge book, a healing book for children. It just came to me. It's a magical, wonderful teaching. So I just will say, like, what do you have to say? What do you want to say with me? So when I do any of this work, it's like not just my work. I just like listen for the instructions to come through on what I feel needs to be said through God.
Do you think it would be a way of even putting in like the golden rule, do unto others as you would have them do unto you?
What do you mean by that?
In other words, treat people the way that you would like to be treated.
Oh, most definitely.
Yeah.
Most definitely. In fact, there's a card I think that would go with that on number 7. If we can show that image, pull up that image, please. The 7. Actually, 7's a very special number, sacred number, and that's art by my brother, and it's abstract, and it's a card, and it says love. Love is not an action, but a state of being. And, it's just being. Love knows how to be. Just be love. Being love. Just be love. And if we could just learn the state of being to be love, everybody's life and everyone's journey would unfold so much different globally, worldly. People say, What can I do? You know, there's all these different, I'll control this, don't take this, don't do that. And I always say, let the journey begin with me. Let the journey begin with me. And if I just work on being as loving as I can be, and as kind as I can be, and as compassionate as I can be, and as peaceful as I can be, wouldn't the world be a better place?
Right, and there's all different types of love.
Yeah.
I think when we hear the word love, a lot of us think, oh, it's romantic love, but it's not. That's only a part of it. You're talking about the way you are just as a being all the time.
As a being, as a being of your core consciousness, your core belief, the way you express, the way you live your life, the whole totality of it all.
And I think that one of the pictures you said in your book shows someone scratching their head.
Yeah.
And can you explain for our audience?
Yeah, that's the image number 2, which was the abstract image of two people like talking and like they were like stripped down to nothing. And I really feel in life, sometimes we have to get stripped down to nothing. I mean, like lose it all and rebuild it all. And what I mean by that is often, you know, we take a crisis and, you know, from all that loss and devastation, we can be healed and transform and build a different way, you know, build us differently as individuals. You know, some of our greatest teachings are through our greatest challenges, and they can make us stronger. And, you know, we have a way of going on this journey of, you know, am I going to grow from this and expand, which life is about expansion all the time, or am I going to be angry and bitter and not open and you know, hate?
And easier said than done, because a lot of times we can believe that, but the journey sometimes takes us aside, and then we have to continue on.
Right.
So, and you're going to be continuing on as you write a book also for children.
Right.
Are you working on this right now, or is it just a future plan?
No, the book is done. And
For children?
Yeah, the children's book is done, but it has to be formatted and put together and images and cover, and my dear friend Richard knows what that's all about, and picking out the proper software to put that in. But I really have that for, you know, like next year, because in my heart I really want to unfold getting this work out here, because it's an important piece. You know, God said this book is going to heal a lot of people, and I trust God and I believe God and I take God at His word, and I go, to me there is so many people out there and that are just not happy. I mean, the medication shows it, you know, what's going on in behavior shows it, bullying at the schools shows it. There can be a real disconnect of not feeling the joy, the peace, and just how wonderful life is within you.
I've often said I was amazed too, with all the things that we have material-wise in our country and all the benefits we have, many people don't look happy. And you can see pictures of Afghanistan, and there are children playing with practically nothing and just dirt and rocks and no shrubbery, and they're happy. They're smiling. And they're happy.
And that's a pretty big extreme, you know, visualization that you just gave, Sandy, but you are so right. Because there are people with so little and they're so joyful, and then there's people with so much and they can't, there's just not an ounce of happiness that they feel inside of themselves.
And they can never have enough. They're insatiable.
So what this work is about is that it's all within you to, you know, feel happy and be at peace and feel free and discover who you are. And I think part of it is that people don't know themselves. They just don't know themselves. They have like no clue. There's a very good friend of mine, you know, whose husband died, and her whole life she spent being a caregiver and taking care of others. And now, you know, he's gone, and it's like she has no clue what to do with her time.
No one to care for.
No one to care for. And it's how about caring for you? How about getting to know who you are? How about getting to know what brings you joy? How about getting to know what things you even like doing and creating? And she's like, you know, Cindy, I don't have an idea. Well, start with something. Start with something. And, you know, being alone is a wonderful thing. It's like, you know, some people, when there's a lot of people out there, you know, alone, divorced, single, widow, widower, and stuff like that. And yes, there is that loss and that sense of sadness and of from not having that person present who has now, moved on to I say to the heavens. But there's also a great joy in still being you. There's more for life to show you. There's more adventures for you. There's more for you to explore.
And along with that, very often you might be with someone. If it's not right, you can be more lonely in that relationship than being alone.
I love that, and that is so true. You could be in a relationship for 20 some odd years, be like two strangers in the night, not know anything about each other, feel so alone, and you leave the home to go elsewhere to feel more of a sense of companionship.
Right, but from the outside looking in, it looks like, oh, they're not alone, they're together.
Yeah.
And yet you could be not feeling alone and not feeling lonely and be alone.
Yes.
It sounds strange, but it's true.
Very true. And
Yeah.
it's a very wise discernment.
And I think that's where, as part of your book, I think you had said, deals with choosing the people you want to be with.
Oh yeah, the people in your life, and there's a section, a chapter about that, the people in your life, and do you have people in your life that it's drama, 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 everything's drama, 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 and it's like that's how they're choosing to learn, through their dramas often. And take a look at what you're attracting, what you're pulling in, what you're gravitating towards, and why. I mean, are you surrounding yourself with, wisdom? Do you have some spiritual mentors in your life? Where is your philosophical teaching coming from? Who are you aligning, stuff up with for source and stuff like that? To me, it's really, really important.
When something like that happens and you're pulling these people into your life,
Yeah.
what do you see your role as? Is it that you're to help these people, or is it that maybe to have these people meet each other too, to learn from each other? Mm-hmm. Or a combination? How would you decide what to do with this?
It depends. Like for me, what I do is I will pray and ask God, like, why is this happening? What is this connection about? What am I supposed to do here in this relationship? So for me, I just like go within and discern and say like, oh, okay, that's the purpose of this. Or maybe it's something in me that still needs to be healed and worked out and addressed within myself. Mm-hmm. Maybe I have to learn to be more patient. Maybe I have to learn to be more tolerant. Maybe I'm learning to speak my truth. Maybe I'm learning to be a better communicator. So, which are all these things that are being balanced. With, maybe I have to learn to stand up for myself. Maybe I have to not submit to an authority figure. We were talking a little bit earlier about authority figures.
Right.
And how sometimes we say, well, they're a doctor, or they have this authority, or they're my pastor, or something. Well, you know what? Everybody still has stuff to learn, and they're not always right.
They're not the be-it-all, know-it-all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So sometimes we have to go within that voice of discernment and say, is that thing that they're asking me to do, does that make sense? Does that feel right for me? Does that line up? That kind of a thing.
And I think that also brings in, where in the previous show last week, we talked about the messages we get from people in authority and our parents. And that also brings up where you're talking about religious leaders or any leaders. Mm-hmm. We're taught by our parents usually that we must obey them and listen to them. And I see even shifts in our society, and again, that balance that's needed.
Yeah.
There has to be some kind of rules, but
well, I think the role of religious leaders is to empower people and not disempower them, and for them to realize just the gifting that's in them, and it's to make them be all that they can be and give and gift, and that's to me what part of their job is, and the faith of God.
Mm-hmm. And that could be true of any profession, actually, but
bring out the best in people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And your book with the questions, I think, is wonderful, because the discussion we're having now, there's no answer. Somebody can't read a chapter and say, oh, Cindy Miller gives me the answer here in this book.
Right.
You're not giving anyone the answer. They have to discover it.
They have to discover it for themselves within them. There are take action items to do. There are some prayers in there. There are tools to help them along the way, but it's going to get them to stretch. It's going to get them to think about that. Like, I'm going to ponder that. Let me think about that. Let me meditate that. Let me contemplate on that. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
Now, I haven't read the book. It's just hot off the press,
Hot
as
off the
they
presses.
say. And in the book, do you reveal anything about yourself in your journey, or?
That's a really good question. I told about the old Cindy and the new Cindy, and I shared what I used to be like and what I'm like now. And that was really like, wow, I got to share that. I go, yep, I want to be really truthful with people, you know, how I was before my spirituality awakening and how I am now. It was total 365-degree shift in my life.
Now, would you say to the audience listening, did that mean you were a bad person before that?
No, I was a very depressed, unhappy, unfulfilled person, even though it looked like I was the girl who had it all and lived in the castle. And, you know, by looking at me, maybe those who could discern it could see through it, but it was all very illusionary because I was a very miserable camper.
That's very interesting.
Yeah.
That what
Yeah.
brings you true happiness and joy, and I know that you're very
Yeah.
sharing with people,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
you try to bring out the best when you meet people and
Yeah.
make them
Yeah.
happy.
Yeah.
And we have 1 minute left. It's flown by again. At the end of this, what would you like to tell people, or what do you want to say
I just
in closing?
In closing, I would say never give up hope. And you are so worth it to go within and discover and uncover who you are and get to know God. I mean, the God of your understanding, however God is to you, that you are not here alone. That sometimes we feel very alone, but there is a presence always with us. And I think it's really important to get to know that presence.
We have 30 seconds left, and again, I want to thank you so much for your
Thank you,
information.
Sandy. Thank you so much.
And best of luck in making a book for the children as well. I didn't
Thank
know you
you.
had that in mind.
Yeah.
And that'll be good for our audience to know. And another journey begins with another book.
Yes.
And would you say you learn from your book too as you write it? And to our audience, I'd like to say thank you for listening. If you need to contact us or have any suggestions, it's practicaltalktime@yahoo.com. Thank you.